complex organisms. In today's tutorial, I'll be discussing carbohydrates based on sugar units. So before we get started, please go and subscribe to our YouTube channel, that is Mathematics, Science and Religion. So let's get to work. Carbohydrates are biomolecules consisting of carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen atoms, usually in the ratio 1 to 2 to 1. So basically, there are three elements that incorporate into carbohydrates. We have carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. And basically, they are in the ratio 1 to 2 to 1. Based on the sugar units, we have carbohydrate to be classified into three. But I know you're seeing four different classification of carbohydrates, and I will explain to you later in the video. So there are three basic classes of carbohydrate based on sugar units. They include monosaccharide, oligosaccharide, and polysaccharide. These are the three basic classification of carbohydrates. Now let's get into it one at a time. Monosaccharide, the word mono is a prefix which means one. And saccharide derived from the Greek word which means sugar. So if you have mono and saccharide joined together, it means one sugar. So to define this, we say a monosaccharide is a one sugar unit. An example of monosaccharide is glucose. Glucose is the simplest sugar, and you constantly find that in your blood. That is the sugar that your red blood cells are delivering to the various cells so they can metabolize it and produce energy out of it. It is a specific type of monosaccharide, which is a class of carbohydrates. 2. Oligosaccharide, which is the second class of carbohydrates. The word oligo is also a prefix, which means few. Saccharide also derived from a Latin or Greek word, which is saccharon, and it means sugar as well. So if we put oligo and saccharide together, it means few sugar units. And it usually range from 2 to 10. So if you have two simple sugar, two monosaccharide joined together, then that's oligosaccharide. If you have three monosaccharide joined together, you have an oligosaccharide up to 10. So any sugar that reaches from 2 to 10 units is classified as oligosaccharide. And this one, disaccharide, is a specific kind of oligosaccharide because the prefix di means two and saccharide means sugar. So if you have disaccharide, it means 2 sugar units. So since in the definition, oligosaccharide ranges from 2 to 10 sugar units and a disaccharide is 2 sugar units, that means definitely that a disaccharide is an oligosaccharide. So based on that, we conclude that all disaccharides are oligosaccharide. So say oligosaccharide are few sugar units, 2 to 10. Example of oligosaccharide is sucrose, which is your table sugar. And sucrose is also present in the sugarcane you eat. Now, disaccharide is a specific kind of oligosaccharide, only 2 sugar units. Example is lactose. So even if we ask you in your exam that you should give one example of disaccharide, you use sucrose as example, we can still accept that. Because sucrose is a disaccharide. Whenever you join fructose and glucose together, it gives you sucrose. Disaccharide, example is lactose. Lactose is a sugar that is present in milk. When you have glucose and galactose joined together, it gives you this disaccharide that we call lactose. So lactose is also an example of oligosaccharide. Lastly, we have polysaccharides. Poly means several and saccharide means sugar. So when you join them together, it gives you several sugar units. Example is starch. When the green plants carry on photosynthesis to make their own food, and the food they produce is glucose, they store it in the form of starch. So if you have several glucose units joined together, more than 10 sugar units, that gives you starch. So thank you for watching, and please don't forget to subscribe.